On today's show, I'm joined by Cavs swingman Max Strus. We talk about his first year in Cleveland on the Cavs, what it takes to get back to the NBA Finals, and his initial impressions of new head coach Kenny Atkinson. That's all straight ahead on today's Locked On Cavs.
You are Locked On Cavs, your daily Cleveland Cavaliers podcast.
Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
What's up, everybody? I'm Danny Cunningham. You might know me from my time covering the Cleveland Cavaliers, places like 92.3 The Fan, Cleveland Magazine, and a new venture coming very, very soon. Thank you for making Locked On Cavs your first listen today and every day. You can find the show anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Make sure you leave us a 5-star rating, say some nice words in a review. If you're watching the show on YouTube, hit that like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell as well so you get the latest Locked On Cavs content anytime it's coming your way. A proud part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. And today's show is sponsored by FanDuel. You can start the season with a big return on FanDuel. Place your first $5 bet and you'll get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Got the chance last week to talk with Cavs starter Max Strus. Really enjoyed the conversation I had with him. Thanks to him for coming on Locked On Cavs. Really, like I said, good conversation. Hope that you do enjoy it. So without any more to say, here's my conversation with Max Strus. Today on the show, Max Strus, guard of the Cleveland Cavaliers. Max, thank you so much for taking some time out of the final days of your summer, sitting down, chatting the upcoming season with me. How's your summer been, man?
It's been good, man. I spent a lot of time at home with my family in Chicago and just kind of resting. So kind of my first long summer I've had in a while. The past couple of years, making it pretty far with the heat. So had a decent summer and looking to build on that and bring some good energy back to this season.
So what's your summer routine like as far as recovering from a season that just happened, and then transitioning into preparing for a season that will happen? And how did you sort of have to adjust that? You mentioned this is the longest summer you've had in a while after some deeper playoff runs with the Heat than the Cavs had this past season. So how did that change?
Yeah, it's different. Every summer's different. Whether you're dealing with injuries, whether you're battling through things or have to rehab stuff. But I was lucky enough to be in a good place with my health after the season last year. And but with the time we had, having the whole month of June, having the whole month of July, I kind of took some time off as the season ended just to let my body heal and physically and mentally just to get it away from it. And I think that was very beneficial for me. So I kind of took about like a month off after the season was over and definitely did like physical therapy and lifted, but kind of got away from the game, kind of got away from the gym and just kind of did the reset from everything. So took that time and then after that it's a grind. I have a physical therapist named Brett Painter that I work with in Chicago and been working with him since my DePaul days. So we have a great connection and I lift with him, I do PT with him every single day, and then right from there I go to the court. So Monday through Friday, that's pretty much the schedule. We're doing that every morning, and then mix in some yoga, mix in some Pilates, random workouts throughout the week, just to keep the body right and start gearing up for the season. So I'm in a great spot right now with my health and my body, and I'm really looking forward to this season getting underway.
So you mentioned getting out of the gym for a little bit, out of the court for a little bit after the season. What can that, I guess, mental refresh do for you?
Yeah, I mean, it makes you miss it again. Getting away from it. I mean, the seasons are long. It's a grind. There's a lot of stuff that goes on throughout the years. So, just to have the ability to just check out from everything, just to get away from it, have that time, have that, that reset for everything, just to feel good about it again and come back with a positive mindset to, be better for the next year coming. So, that's really the main gist of it, is just to get away. It's just such a long season, such a long grind, and wear and tear on your body and your mind that, you just need that time just to get away from everything.
So a year ago at this point, you were preparing to go into your first training camp with the Cavs after spending, the first part of your career mostly with Miami Heat. What was it for you that made Cleveland the right place for you to go when you did hit free agency? And I know that it was a sign and trade, but what made Cleveland the right place for you?
Honestly, it felt like the perfect fit. As the free agency was going on and just talking and working things out with my agent and looking at the best possible scenarios, Cleveland was very high on our list. Mainly because of the shooting that they needed. After the playoff series they had against the Knicks, it was we need shooting at the wing, guys that can space the floor for Donovan and Darius and help our big guys. So I think I fit that mold pretty well, and we had a pretty solid first year with it, and I think it's only going to get better. Now we got Kenny's in here now. I've been dealing with him for the past couple weeks, just being around him and getting to know him, and I think it's going to be beneficial for us. I think our offense is going to exceed, and we're going to be a lot more better on that side of the ball for sure.
So you mentioned Kenny Atkinson, new head coach of the Cavs, replacing JB Bickerstaff. That's the biggest change to this organization. The roster, for the most part, is very similar to what it was last year. But what have your initial impressions of Kenny been so far, Max?
He's been great. Every conversation I've had with him has been phenomenal. The way he sees the game, the way he thinks the game, and just his mindset and his drive and his accountability in the building. I think it's going to be huge just for not only our players but for our organization. He just brings a chip on his shoulder. He has a winning mentality, and he's going to do whatever it takes to do that. So he's a hard worker, and he wants to instill that in his players, instill that in his staff. And I think it's going to be huge for our organization and for this building as a whole.
So I know you can't give everything away here, but you did mention some differences to what the offense is going to look like. And I think a lot of Cavs fans are very interested in that, considering that if you're not changing the group of players, something else might need to change offensively. What do you expect to be different about the offense this upcoming season than in the past?
Yeah, I just think it's going to be new ways just to, have more spacing, to be more organized and, get our best players in the best positions to succeed. So, any way we can get Donovan, Darius, JA and Evan, get those guys in positions to score, positions to, do what they're best at. I just think our organization between that and having the, proper spacing on the floor at times is something Kenny's been stressing. And I think, throughout training camp and throughout, the next month or so, it's going to be very crucial for us to lock in on that and understand his system and the way he sees the game. And, with where he's been the past couple years in Golden State, it's exciting to have that. I think he's learned a lot, being over there and having him bring some of that to Cleveland, I think is going to be huge for us.
How much of an adjustment is it, Max, as a player to go from playing for one coach to playing for a different coach? This will, for you personally, be your third coach in 3 years, going from Miami with Eric Spoelstra to JB Bickerstaff here last year, now Kenny Atkinson. How much of an adjustment is it on the player side of things? 'Cause I don't think that often gets thought about.
It's definitely an adjustment. Everybody has their own principles. Everybody has their own, things that they stand for, and you got to learn that. And it's a feel it out system, feel it out type of thing to begin with. But as the season goes on, you get more comfortable with it. But it is an adjustment at first. But so far my relationships with Kenny has been great, and I think we see the game the same way. And I think it's going to help us a lot.
Today's show is brought to you by FanDuel. And hey, NFL fans, if you're out there listening to this podcast, like I know you are, you can start off the season with a big return on FanDuel. That is FanDuel, of course, America's #1 sports book. So when you get a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets on FanDuel. Just open up that sportsbook app on your phone, and you can see everything you need to see on FanDuel. It's a great way to experience the game, and it's a great way, as you're following along, place a little bit of a live wager. That, I think, is a really smart way to gamble. If you aren't sure how you feel about a game going into it, and then the first quarter's over, I really like how this team looks, FanDuel's the place to go to get that live betting action in. Plus, then you can get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That's $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bets. Maybe you're a Browns fan this week. They're going out to Vegas to take on the Raiders. You might see something you like there. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. If you don't, you can wait until the game starts. Like I said, place a little bit of a live wager. Maybe you like it right now. Get that bet in on FanDuel. FanDuel is America's #1 sports book. It's the place I go when I see a line I really like. It should be the place that you go to. And if you're new, again, like I said, you get $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. So just head on over to FanDuel.com. That's FanDuel.com, and you can be having a great time watching the NFL, getting a big return on the start of the NFL season with FanDuel. So you as a player have been on quite a postseason journey. You've had a lot of postseason success everywhere you've been. How important last year, again, when you bring up the continuity and that this group for the most part is the same on the floor, how important is having the playoff success you had last year in terms of being able to build on that and taking it further this year on a run to the Eastern Conference Finals or the NBA Finals?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing about it is the group that we have, that's all coming back. We didn't really see last year as a success, which is something that I think we can build on and be happy about. We won a playoff series, but I think this team is capable of a lot more and should have higher goals and higher expectations. So, and I think our locker room believes in that as well too. So it is fun to have those guys and go back to battle with them. And I think that goes to speak on making a long playoff run is guys you're comfortable playing with, guys you have a good continuity with, playing offensively, defensively, and the longer you're together, the better off you're going to be. So I think it's going to be very positive that we brought everybody back to run it back with this group.
You obviously know what it takes to get to the NBA Finals as somebody who's been there. The rest of this roster isn't filled with guys that have. I believe it's you and Tristan Thompson, who's been to 4 of them as a member of the Cavs way back when LeBron was here. How do you use that experience to help this group along?
Oh, it's huge. I learned so much that year we went to the finals, and the year before when we lost the Eastern Conference Finals. I mean, any playoff run, any series you go through, you learn so much about the game, about yourself, about, just reading the game and seeing how you can help and scouting reports and whatnot. So take advantage of, certain situations. So I think it's just, I could do a better job of being, more of a vocal leader and a guy in the locker room that guys can come to, guys can ask questions about, just because of my experiences. So definitely looking to take that leap again this season. And there's just so much that I've learned, being in Miami, even last year, through our playoff run, of just ways to, understand the game better, understand situations and just be better off from it, to make a long playoff run like that. But I think the biggest thing that I've learned in my short career is, the team that's the most connected is the team that's going to make it the longest. So, the team that I played on that made the finals, it was the closest knit group of guys I've ever been on in the NBA. So looking to have that, and I think we have the possibility and the connected group in this locker room to be able to do that. So it's just going to keep growing, and going into year 2 with this group is going to be special. And I'm excited about it.
Max, how vocal are you behind the scenes? Because one of the words that pops up when I think people talk about you the most is stoic. Like, you are one of the more stoic players in the NBA. Obviously, we don't see the entire picture. We're not in the locker room. We're not at practice. We don't see those things. But what are you like as a vocal leader?
Yeah, I mean, I'm more reserved for sure. I haven't been a vocal leader in my past. I've always been a kind of a guy that just leads by example. But I find my ways to fit it in. I find my ways to do it, and whether that's pulling a guy aside and telling him like that, I'm not a guy that's gonna yell at a team or embarrass anybody or be vocally outgoing to get my way. I mean, I'd rather just have a good relationship with guys and build off of that. So that's kind of how I do it, is make sure I have a good enough relationship to approach people in the right manner and make sure that they know I want their best foot forward, and not only for themselves, but for our team. And I think our guys understand that that's who I am. And it's more of a thing behind closed doors than it is, really like as an outgoing or, put on a show in front of people. So that's just not who I am. And, I'd rather do it in a way that I think I can get through to guys.
I think that authenticity and being who you are, not trying to be a vocal guy if you're not a super vocal guy, is really important. But I'm also curious, who sort of influenced you to become that type of person?
In which way?
In terms of the knowing when to pull someone aside, knowing how to
Yeah.
not embarrass somebody if you do see
Uh,
something that could be fixed.
yeah.
Where were you influenced there?
I think I've just kind of learned over the years and seen, guys that have helped me in my career. Guys like a Kyle Lowry or guys like a Kevin Love or a Jimmy Butler who's more of an expression, guy wears it on his skin, but just their competitiveness and the confidence that they build in people. It doesn't really come, in the bright lights. It comes from every day in the gym and doing things when people aren't watching. And I know there's a lot of guys that I respect, and Udonis Haslem, and he's probably been the biggest mentor that I've had, and seen as a leader and a vocal guy, because that's really who he was for us in Miami. I mean, he wasn't playing, so he found ways to lead with his voice and help us get to where we were going. Being who he was. So I learned a lot, definitely just watching him and learning from him.
So I want to talk a little bit about your background and how you got to the NBA. I know it's a story that's been told quite a bit. You started off at a Division II school, transferred to DePaul. It's very much the road less traveled for guys in the NBA. I think you're one of like 3 or 4 guys that I can think of that played Division II or Division III basketball, and you played with a couple of them in Miami, oddly enough. So instead of asking about, what it was like to go to a D2 school and then transfer up, I want to know what your favorite Division II memory was when you were playing at that level.
Man, I got a lot. Those are some of my most favorite teammates, favorite teams that I've been on at Lewis. We had a lot of success when I was there. Um, it's probably either the 10 to 12 hour bus rides together, when it was the men's and women's team all on one bus traveling for 10 to 12 hours. You got to share a seat with somebody. So those I'll never forget about. Or eating Domino's or going to a Golden Corral or things like that. I mean, definitely keeps me humbled here, with the life that we have living in this. But I am reminded I had a 52-point game at Lewis against Northwood, and an assistant coach here, DJ Ham, was actually on the staff at Northwood when I played against them. So he that was one of the first things he ever said to me was, "You lit us up for 52." I was on the bench for that game, and I was very surprised to have him here and have him say that, because I didn't even know walking into it that he was on the staff at that time. So it was pretty cool to see that, and I remind him of it a lot, every single day that we're in here.
That's incredible. That's one of like it's a small world moments that I can
Yeah,
ever think of with the NBA
right.
to have, DJ Ham coaching at Northwood University in Michigan and you at Lewis University
Yeah.
lighting him up for 52.
There
That's
was probably 20
incredible.
people at that game, and the
Right.
fact that me and him are now with the Cavaliers organization is pretty crazy. So
I mean, going from playing in a D2 gym, and I've been in plenty of them. I was a Division II athlete once upon a time too, so I totally get that. But from going to that to playing in sold out arenas at Rocket
yeah.
Mortgage Fieldhouse or anywhere else in the NBA has to be just one of the coolest transformations you can make.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's not even close. I mean, to going from, playing in Northwood, Michigan, that's, all the way up in Michigan up there. And, like I said, playing in 20 to 50 people. And then you're, a couple years later, you're playing in Madison Square Garden. I mean, it's just, it's pretty nuts, the journey, and kind of just makes you, appreciate everything a little bit more.
Today's show also brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience, the formula for winning championships, the formula the Cavs have right now. Well, that's also the formula that keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle, and this is very important, level it up to peak performance. You should want everything in your life to be at peak performance, and your vehicle is no different, and eBay Motors can help you get there. They've got superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, so much more. Whether you're into speed, power, style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you will always find exactly what you're looking for. And, very important here, with eBay Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride or every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay guaranteed fit only available to U.S. customers. So one of the things I love to ask players when I have them on a podcast or, talking to them off to the side, when did you know? Because I'm going to make the assumption that when Max Strus was a kid, you played basketball all the time and had dreams of being in the NBA. Is that a fair thing to assume?
Honestly, I always wanted to be a professional athlete, but I played every single sport growing up. Like I played baseball, I played football, soccer. I was always active. I was always playing every single sport. So I just wanted to make it in any sport. I just wanted to be an athlete and do it professionally. I think, once I chose basketball, towards the end of my high school career, and I was only getting Division II scholarships, I kind of saw it as, let's go to Europe. I can try to make this a profession and play in Europe. But once I transferred to DePaul, Coach Lato and his staff kind of, flipped my brain to focus on the NBA. And, ever since, that day I walked on campus, that was the goal and that was the dream. And, now we're here.
So with that being the goal and the dream, when did you know you were good enough to do that?
When I got to DePaul, I was playing, obviously I had to sit out a year, but, practicing against those guys every single day and, seeing the talent in the Big East at that time, watching the games, I knew that I could play with guys like that. And I was just as good, if not better than a lot of them. And you kind of have to have that confidence and have that mold in your head that, you could be one of those guys if you're going to make it. So kind of just, throughout my time at DePaul, just kind of confidence kept rising and the belief kept rising as well.
And then I'll get you out of here on this one, Max. But do you have a welcome to the NBA moment that you look back at as kind of your wake up call that you made it there?
A welcome to the NBA moment. My first time I checked into a game was in Portland when I was on the Bulls on a two-way. And I checked in for like maybe 30 seconds. I don't even know, but in that time span, Carmelo Anthony was on the Trailblazers, and his eyes lit up when he saw me, and somehow I got switched on to him, and he was, doing his kind of hollering, woo, woo, woo. I need the ball. So it was like an intermediate ISO, but luckily somebody else fouled somebody on their side of the court, so we didn't get to it. And then I got taken out of the game within 30 seconds. So I think that was probably the one time I was like, all right, Carmelo's trying to go at me. I'm here now. So definitely one of the moments.
I think the better way to tell that is that you would have gotten a stop if there
Oh
was
yeah,
a foul away from
no
the ball there.
question.
That's the way to look at that.
He wasn't scoring. I was either getting a stop or I was fouling him. He wasn't going to score though. I'll tell you.
Exactly. Well, Max, thank you so much for doing this. Very much appreciate you taking on the time to jump on Locked On Cavs.
Yes, sir. No problem. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much, man. Very much appreciate it.
Sounds good. Thank you, brother. We're all set?
Yep, all good.
All right.
I will see you at Media Day and then for a week in sunny Bradenton, Florida.
Oh, you're going to make the trip. Nice.
I can't pass up on golfing down there all week.
There you go.
I can't pass up on that.
No chance. All right, man.
All right, man.
Thank you very much.
I will see you. Thank you so much.
All right, brother.
Big thanks to Max for joining the show today. Hope you guys were able to learn a little bit about Max. I thought some of his memories playing, Division II basketball at Lewis were some really cool stories as well. His journey is a very unique one in the NBA. There's no doubt about that. Today's show is also brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, patience, the formula for winning championships, the formula the Cleveland Cavaliers, I think, have right now. Well, it's the same formula to keep your ride or die alive. And eBay Motors, they've got everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. You should want everything in your life to be at peak performance. Your vehicle is no different. eBay Motors is the place to go to make sure that's a reality. They've got superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and so much more. I could go on and on and on about everything that eBay Motors has, whether you're into speed, power, style, all three of those, anything else. eBay Motors has you covered. They've got over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die. You'll always find exactly what you are looking for. With eBay Guaranteed Fit too, this is a very important thing, so listen up here. Your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Sounds like a pretty good deal if you ask me. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions do apply. eBay Guaranteed Fit only available to U.S. customers. Big thanks to Max for coming on Locked On Cavs today. Really appreciate him taking some time last week to catch up on his offseason. His initial thoughts on Kenny Atkinson I thought were pretty good. Also love the memory of him playing Division II basketball at Lewis University. I think that's a really cool thing. His journey to the NBA I think has been covered a lot, but it's a very, very unique one, and it's a cool story to kind of dive into. So if you like what you heard today, tell a friend. A friend should not want to, especially if they're a Cavs fan, should not want to miss what Max Strus had to say today. So be a friend, tell a friend about Locked On Cavs. You can find us anywhere you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify, anywhere else. Also, check us out on YouTube. If you're watching this video, hit that thumbs up button for me. Click subscribe, click the notification bell, so make sure you're getting the latest Locked On Cavs content as soon as it comes available. I will be back tomorrow with another edition of Locked On Cavs.